I never imagined a simple no could change everything. "I don't want you attending that event," I had said calmly, thinking it was reasonable. But the way Jessica looked at me afterward, the spark in her eyes, the suppressed smile, told me that my refusal wasn't going to stop her. Something had shifted, though I didn't yet understand how deep the crack in our marriage had become. Life with Jessica had always seemed balanced. I was Mark, 38, working in marketing, organized, reliable, and protective of my marriage. Jessica, 34, was charming, vivacious, and ambitious. Together, we had built a life filled with stability, trust, and shared dreams. I love her deeply. But that evening, as she left the house with an elegant coat and a carefully crafted smile, I felt a twinge of unease that wouldn't leave me. Her obsession with celebrity events was subtle but consistent. Social media mentions, backstage glimpses, and casual jokes about famous personalities peppered our conversations. At first, I found it amusing. But now, paired with her excitement that lingered even after I said no, it became a warning sign. I couldn't shake the feeling that her world was expanding outside of our marriage, into a realm where I had no control. That night, while she was out, I replayed our last few months in my mind. Absences that were supposedly late work hours, sudden late-night calls she hastily ended when I entered the room, the casual way she brushed off questions about her outings. Alone in our bedroom, I stared at the empty space beside me, realizing I was missing something critical. Trust, once solid, was eroding before my eyes. I tried to convince myself that I was overthinking, that my imagination was playing tricks on me. But instinct is rarely wrong. And as I thought about her laugh, the tilt of her head, when she spoke about certain people, a cold knot formed in my stomach. Something was happening. Something I wasn't meant to see, but my gut told me I would. By the time she returned home, late and radiant, I noticed it. The subtle fragrance, the extra attention to her appearance, the way her eyes glimmered when she mentioned nothing in particular. It wasn't just confidence. It was secrecy wrapped in allure, and it was directed somewhere beyond me. That night, I lay awake, unable to sleep. The trust one had always relied upon seemed fragile, cracking with every unanswered question and every evasive gesture. And somewhere deep down, I realized that my refusal had done nothing to stop her curiosity, her pursuit, or whatever path she had already taken without me. The game had shifted, and I was forced into a role I hadn't anticipated, the observer of betrayal that was slowly taking shape. By the next morning, one thought had become unavoidable. Whatever Jessica was hiding, it wasn't harmless, and I would uncover it piece by piece, no matter the cost. The following days were unbearable. Every text notification, every hushed conversation, every casual smile she gave her phone made my heart tighten. Jessica moved through the house like a secretive ghost, hiding little things I had always taken for granted. Openness, laughter, transparency. Now, it felt like I was living with someone I hardly knew. I began noticing patterns. The sudden late-night trips, the carefully chosen outfits that seemed too deliberate for ordinary outings, the occasional perfume lingering in rooms she hadn't even been in. Alone, I pieced it together, trying not to jump conclusions. But the signs were there. Each one whispered the same chilling possibility. She was seeing someone else. And not just anyone. It wasn't long before the truth hit me. Subtle at first, then undeniable. A friend mentioned seeing her at a high-profile event, not just mingling, but appearing overly comfortable, almost intimate. Social media posts confirmed it. Photos of her near celebrity I had casually mentioned weeks ago. The pieces, once scattered and ambiguous, began forming a picture I wasn't prepared to face. Anger, disbelief, and heartbreak collided inside me. I felt blindsided, humiliated, powerless. Every moment I had trusted her now seemed naive. How could the person I loved, the woman I had built a life with, step into someone else's world so easily? The betrayal cut deeper than I expected, slicing through memories of laughter, shared dreams, and quiet nights together. I tried to reason with myself, to find an explanation, any excuse, but the evidence was irrefutable. I realized that this wasn't a fleeting attraction. It was calculated, deliberate. The charm, the laughter, the late nights. It had all been part of a larger deception. I spent the next few days watching, observing, collecting small details, building a mental timeline of her movements and interactions. The closer I looked, the clearer the reality became. Jessica's pursuit of excitement outside our marriage had led her directly into the arms of someone untouchable, someone famous, someone beyond my reach, until now. But as much as I felt anger and humiliation, a spark of clarity emerged. Betrayal has a way of revealing character, and in that moment, I understood one thing. I had a choice. I could crumble under the weight of this deceit, or I could plan carefully, reclaim control, and ensure that the consequences of her actions would be undeniable. By the time the week ended, I had a plan forming in my mind, a strategy to expose the truth in a way that would leave no room for denial. Jessica's secret wasn't going to remain hidden, and as I stood in our living room, staring at the framed photos of happier days, I made a vow. The woman who had stepped out of our life so easily was about to learn that every betrayal carries a cost. The evening I confronted Jessica, the tension was palpable. Lily was asleep, the house quiet, and every instinct in me screamed that this was the moment the truth would come crashing down. I asked her to sit in the living room. She raised an eyebrow, smiling as if she already knew what I had discovered. But she didn't know the full extent. I started slowly, recounting the past few weeks, the late-night trips, the sudden fascination with events, the faint fragrance of someone else lingering around her. Her smile faltered just slightly, but she remained composed. I pressed on, my voice calm but firm. "Jessica, I need to know the truth. Who have you been spending time with?" She hesitated, eyes darting away. Then she said softly, almost mockingly, "Mark, why are you so worried? You have nothing to fear." But her tone didn't convince me. I had pieced everything together. The celebrity posts, the event sightings, the flirtatious messages I accidentally glimpsed. The deception was complete, and she had underestimated me. I let silence hang in the air, allowing the weight of my words and my observation to settle on her. Then I revealed my knowledge. The celebrity affair, the secret rendezvous, and how I had followed the trail of clues, connecting every subtle detail she thought I hadn't noticed. Her eyes widened, a flicker of fear breaking through the practiced calm. "I knew," I said quietly, "but I wanted you to see that every action has consequences." She opened her mouth to speak, but I continued. "You've hidden your betrayal, thinking you were untouchable, but now it's time for accountability." Over the next hour, I meticulously laid out the plan I had executed. Messages exposed, social circles informed, social media evidence compiled. Friends, family, even work contacts were made aware of her deceit. The celebrity involvement, the secrecy, everything laid bare for the world to see. Her composure crumbled. She tried to deny, to explain, to shift blame, but every lie was countered with documented proof. The control she had wielded was gone, replaced by public exposure and humiliation. And through it all, I remained calm, measured, and resolute. By the night's end, Jessica sat in stunned silence, the realization settling in that her choices had irrevocably altered her life. I wasn't cruel. I was precise, deliberate. Justice wasn't about vengeance. It was about clarity and consequences. I finally spoke, my voice steady, resonant with the calm of someone who had regained control. "Betrayal leaves scars, Jessica, but truth restores balance." She looked at me, the weight of her actions etched in every line of her face. I walked to the window, gazing out at the quiet street, breathing in the relief that justice, carefully and strategically executed, had been served. Betrayal had tried to dismantle my life, but through patience, observation, and unwavering resolve, I reclaimed it. And from that day forward, nothing would ever undermine the lessons learned from deceit, ambition, and the undeniable power of truth.